Welcome to the Always On podcast. I'm your host, Duncan MacPherson. And on this podcast, our objective is to enable our audience, who are very high caliber fee-for-service professionals, to always be working on their business and on themselves, personally and professionally. And on today's podcast, I had a great conversation with a financial professional named Kimberly Safoyan. She's the owner of Anchor Wealth Management Group in Palm Desert, California. She's part of the Wealth Consulting Group. And we had a great conversation talking primarily about three things: incorporating and deploying benevolence, charitable giving, and philanthropy into your process, perspectives on being a female professional and working with female clients, and around innovation in terms of refinement and optimization, embracing technology. But I have to tell you, my favorite part was talking about her view and actions around benevolence, because she launched the American Heroes UIT in partnership with First Trust. And it's such an amazing story. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, please like and share. Tell your colleagues, and if you have any ideas for topics you'd like to hear down the road, just let us know. Thanks for listening. Well, we often have industry thought leaders and subject matter experts who chime in on the Always On podcast, but my favorite is always when we bring on an advisor to share some wisdom and perspectives. And today we have Kim Safoyan, who is a 30-year veteran, award-winning advisor living in Palm Desert, California. The reason why I wanted to have her on is because she is an early adopter and serious student of all things practice management and business development. But she's also a very innovative and enlightened person as part of the Wealth Consulting Group, who is headed up by a good friend of mine, Jimmy Lee, who I encourage you to get to know because he's such a great voice and advocate for the business. But Kim, I've known you for a while, and you've attended so much Pareto-ness. And, in our conversations, you've always said things to me that were so thought-provoking, so I had to have you come on. So thanks for making some time. I know you're busy.
Thank you so much. What a privilege. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, excellent. So what I'm hoping to do here is to hit on three key areas that speak to a day in your life. Number one, the whole concept of community involvement, benevolence, and charitable giving, both in terms of what you do yourself, but also how you've built that into your process to strengthen relationships with your clients.
Yes.
I've said it before, but I had a mentor, Jim Rohn, who way back when said to me, don't just focus on making a profit, focus also on leaving a profit.
Nice.
Which is a great philosophy. So I want to start there, but then I also want to talk to you about your perspective on being a female financial advisor and that whole community in the industry, and some insights on new financial advisors. So I want to talk to you about your mindset there, but also, how you interact with women, divorcees, widows. I want to get into that. And then lastly, I want to talk about just innovation, things you're doing, whether it's with technology or in the community, that sort of thing. So I think this is going to be very meaningful. I want to start off paraphrasing a quote by Aristotle. He said, when your talents intersect with the needs of your community, you've landed on your perfect vocation, your sense of purpose.
Yes.
And I know that's near and dear to your heart. So talk to us about your overarching philosophy about community involvement and benevolence. And I've got some very specific questions around initiatives that you're engaged in.
Yeah, absolutely. What a fun topic, and all about purpose. And I just continue to try and, hone in on that. And make sure every day counts because we never get them back. And every day that goes by is a day closer to the end. So I'm excited to make that a priority. And the same for my clients, is to really help them make their wealth work for them, and be in a meaningful way, both generationally for them, experiences, and sometimes people say, oh, money can't buy you happiness. And I contend, yes, it does. It does. It buys you peace of mind, ability to make a difference in other people's lives, to bring health and education and security. And those are huge. I think particularly the security button.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this because more and more advisors are telling us about the outcomes of building benevolence and charitable giving and philanthropy into their process and engaging their clients to help them understand that, look, I can help you navigate your legacy in real time because money is a means to an end.
Right.
What do you want to do with the wealth that you've accumulated? So, talk to us about, how you would position that or engage a client specifically as part, because I know you're very process driven.
One of the things that I really enjoy is multi-generational work. And bringing up with those clients, I just want to be sure I'll work with your parents and kids. We want to engage with them, particularly the kids, bring them in. And I've had that happen many times where the 12-year-old is sitting in on the conversation. They have no idea what's going on. However, we absolutely include them in the discussion. And I'll bring up, hey, do you know what a stock is? No. What's your favorite game? I just try and bring it down to something that gets them a little excited, right. Even piques their curiosity a little bit. And interestingly, I had a couple come in December, and they brought that 12-year-old kid that is now in college, and I walk in the conference room and I look up like, who is this? And it's the 12-year-old that's now he's now 20 and 6'2", looking down on me, and we opened a Roth. Like, how fun is that? And I want them to understand the responsibility that they're going to have to inherit their parents' wealth. And they do too.
Well, and that's such a huge component of this is the responsibility. Yeah. So it's not that, hey, you're going to have this windfall. You're taking the torch. Exactly. And you're going to carry this. So, and I do like your view on being in the sandwich between up and down the family tree. I mean, everybody knows this is one of the best ways to strengthen a relationship with a family is to bring value all over. We all know right now that there is a fair amount of hardship that's unfolding in the world. There's a lot of need.
Yes.
But we're also seeing, and I had a conversation with a friend about this the other day, there is unfortunately a lot of skepticism around some charities and foundations. And not to get into too much of this, but I was talking to my friend and he was talking about this one charity. He found out that it was very important to him. But virtually every dime they collect, he found out, goes to fuel the machine. Yeah, and very little and ends up. And you get all these organizations that are talking about ending this and fighting this. But over years, you come to realize, like, you actually kind of depend on this not ending. So it's very cosmetic. And so there's skepticism that gets in the way of people whose hearts say, I want to address the hardship. So you've taken a very powerful approach to this. And you're so understated about this, but I want to tell you, this is so impressive as I've gotten to know it better, because when investment dollars can actually impact social outcomes,
Yes.
the energy. I just felt that right there, just even saying that. So
It's a great way to put it.
I'm gonna wave the flag on this. So there is a unit investment trust that Kim is very instrumental in launching called American Heroes. And as I've gotten to know this better, I mean, the purest form of benevolence to me is helping people help themselves.
Agreed.
So please, I know you're so low key on this, but could you talk about the origins of American Heroes, what it actually does, and talk to me about how you built this into your value proposition, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you very much. And thank you for the kind words. You couldn't have said it better in terms of that investment in companies changing behavior, because we've seen that happen over the years. And, the last decade, when you go to conferences, advisor conferences, and booth after booth, you're finding ways to invest with your values. And the one thing that I was looking for was somebody that said, hey, we're investing in companies that invest in our veterans. Could not find it. So I started kicking some tires, like, why don't you have this? Or does this even exist out there? And to back up a little bit, why is that passionate? For me, freedom's not free. I recognize that. I know that. I grew up with it. My dad was in the Marines. My grandpa was in the Army. And that root of patriotism is there. But I also saw, with them, with their friends firsthand, that there are struggles a lot, that happen when they come home from experiencing what they have to deal with to serve. And it could be, very minor, one would think, but it has a tremendous impact, on their life, on their ability to keep jobs or relationships. So what can I do as an advisor to make a difference in that environment or for those folks? And that took some pondering for sure. But when considering that value investing and seeing that companies are making changes because of the folks that are putting dollars behind it, they're changing their corporate structure, they're changing their hiring practices. Why can't they do that for the veteran? And by and large, as I dug, I found that, well, you know what? A lot of them are. You just wouldn't know it. Hilton, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, NVIDIA, AT&T, there's so many that if you jump onto their website, in fact, and look under diversity and inclusion section of their corporate websites, you will find their veteran policies. And many of them have wonderful, hiring goals. They go to job fairs. They support that veteran when they're in transition to civilian jobs. So there's neat things out there happening. And I want to get behind those companies. So how do we do that?
Okay, well, I'm not letting you off the hook. I want more detail on this, but I'm going to give you a little bit more perspective from my viewpoint. First of all, the thing I love about this is that it creates awareness, but that can translate into engagement. And I've been guilty at this, where I haven't had enough time. I've known, my wife has said something to me, or somebody has said something to me that this organization needs a little help, and then you sort of throw money at it because you just don't have the time to participate, because sometimes organizations need your time as much as they need your money. But this one is very cool because I get to engage in something. It activates a sense of fulfillment and belonging. And when I'm alone with my thoughts, I just imagine that it's just encouraging people to help people help themselves. So
hand up, not a handout.
Okay, well said. I certainly just said that.
I stole that from the Salvation Army.
Okay. So I know you also in the desert, you are involved in the Salvation Army and other. So your community involvement, are you pretty low key about that? Because I know the purest form of benevolence is anonymous. It's low key. It's not something where you're waving, say, hey, look at me. But do your clients know that you're involved in all these things?
Some, maybe not all. Not all, but yeah.
Okay, so in the spirit of positioning, not pitching,
Hmm.
and I've seen this happen where advisors will say to their clients, hey, look, as we build out our process and deliverables for you, getting out in front of your evolving needs, we're adding in a layer to our process that involves charitable giving, benevolence, and philanthropy. And I'm curious as to what your aspirations are there, because we're goals-based professionals. I'd
Yeah.
love to know your goals on that. Client opens up and tells you, can you bookend that but say, hey, I just want to let you know that we kind of eat our own cooking here, like we're
Yeah.
involved as an
Yeah.
organization. Is that a way to position it?
Yeah, you know what? As you were speaking, I was rethinking this when I said not all. And I'm going to take it back. I was thinking, like, do they know when I'm actually at the Salvation Army doing something? Like Thanksgiving, for example. Had an amazing time with my kids. And we've done that every year. We get there, we either do prep work, cook turkeys at home, take them, carve them, plate, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's very fun to work with them in that endeavor. So that part maybe people don't know. However, I will say that my clients are very generous and they come alongside me in doing
Mm.
projects for the Salvation Army, for the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission. So we will put, for example, bins out front that we collect socks. Believe it or not, that's a big deal. Like
Mm.
people donate food, they donate other things, but a lot of homeless or folks don't have socks, chapstick,
Mm.
toiletries. There's certain items that are actually really important, and so we collect those things. And so we'll have drives, we'll have sock drives or toy drives or school supplies, that kind of thing. So many of my clients just come alongside us and they're dropping off bags of things, bicycles, helmets. I've had a really fun time, having my lobby completely cluttered with dolls and bikes. So it's pretty fun. It's
Well,
selfish, really, because it's so much fun, and then we'll deliver them. We've done work with the CHP too, and
mhm.
taking it to them and dropping it off. And it's not me that's giving all that stuff. It's my client. So it's fun.
Wait, that's Chips, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just
Hmm.
like the TV show. I'm
Yep.
dating myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Most CRMs promise efficiency, but too often they just add complexity, more clicks, more confusion, and less time with clients. Toolkit CRM was built to change that. It's simple, intuitive, and designed specifically for financial advisors. What makes it different? Toolkit isn't just software. It's Pareto's best practices hardwired into your day-to-day process. It's the client experience engine that ensures consistency, elevates every interaction, and brings the Pareto philosophy to life in your business. If you want a CRM that actually works for you, instead of the other way around, take a look at Toolkit CRM. To learn more, visit toolkitcrm.com and schedule a no-obligation demo, and see how easy it is to bring the best practices to life in your business.
Well, I mean, like you say, I often go back to Maslow's hierarchy, and right at the core of our reason for being is belonging, like belonging to something and also creating an environment and a culture where people feel like they're belonging.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming the fact that your clients, that must make the relationship like completely insulated from outside forces, but also where it doesn't feel like work, like it's just
Agreed. Yeah.
collaboration.
Yeah.
American Heroes. So one thing, and this is advisors telling me, one thing they like about unit investment trusts is it's prompts them to
Yes.
be proactive with their clients, like to actually
It
build
does.
it into their predictive communication plan that I'm going to be calling you on this date to have a conversation about where we go from here. Was
Hmm.
that deliberate, or is that just a byproduct of creating that?
It was actually a byproduct of the structure. How do we build this from nothing? The ETF was more challenging to start from the
Mm.
ground up. So a UIT was the best
Mm.
solution. And First Trust was willing to team with me. I went to a lot of other opportunity. Well, they weren't opportunities because they didn't work. I went to a lot of other companies and said, I have this idea. And there were two ETFs in existence at the time. And that we're going back 7 years, I think now. And they were very small, not growing, in fact, dying on the vine. And I said, surely something is missing because there has to be a market for this. Just people don't know about it. So when I spoke with First Trust about it, they liked the idea and said, okay, let's kick the tires. How do you propose screening the companies and some of the mechanics of it? And so they licensed with Veteran Select Index. I found that was a resource there,
Hmm.
or available, that they will go through the universe of stocks and figure out which ones are going above and beyond for veterans, both the consumer and as an employer. And from there, we narrow it down 30 to 33 companies from the index.
Yeah. And everybody listening, this is not financial advice. You do your own research.
Correct.
It's just fun to say.
Yes.
But a lot of our community are big fans of First Trust. Like, it does not surprise me that First Trust pounced on that. But everybody take a good look, because you just feel great even just reading about it and just imagining the trickle down effect that this has. And then the other thing, in terms of a call to action, I'd like you to consider is I know you're intentional about philanthropy, benevolence, and charitable giving with your clients. I would ask you to take it to the next level and build it in as being part of your process.
Hmm.
The collateral impact on your relationships, your fulfillment, the durability, and maximizing advocacy, all of that is brought to life. And you might know we have a video. It's like 8 minutes long. It's called 7 Pillars, 1 Process. Philanthropy is part of your process. And the positioning of that with your clients is impeccable branding. I cannot overstate this. I could parade advisors through this room who have said, I've got better relationships with my clients. I feel better about what I do. All of it because of adding this dynamic, making it part of your process. And then I'm just going to go here on a personal note, Kim. So we all know, because at the Palm Springs Airport, there's a beautiful bust of JFK in the terminal there. I've stopped there many times to pay tribute. And as we all know, one of his most powerful statements was to ask not what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country. I've run with that personally. Ask not what our community can do for you, what can you do for the community? You know where I got that? I got that from reading this book, A
Oh,
Pillar of Iron by Taylor Caldwell. Now, I don't know if you've read anything by Taylor Caldwell. She's one of the most prolific writers ever.
I think I have.
And her range of writing is just mind-bending. This is the story about Cicero and the Rome he tried to save. And this book she wrote in 1965, and it was dedicated to JFK.
Wow.
And Cicero, you want to get to know somebody, a couple thousand years ago that was ahead of his time. Cicero
Love
said,
that.
gratitude is the greatest of virtues and the parent of all others.
Hmm.
And I got to think that everything that you're doing, Kim, is a statement that you take nothing for granted, and you have great gratitude for being a financial professional and having a community of clients.
I do. And I don't take lightly that they entrust me with everything they've worked for. We just can't lose sight of that. And to circle back with the veteran position, I want to thank them, and how do you know if you don't ask? So one of the questions that now is standard in my process is, just by chance, have you, your parents, or your kids ever served? 3 generations, almost always I have a yes. Oh, yes, why do you ask?
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to understand, who did, what did they do, what was their branch, or what was your branch? And you learn so much about them, and you can say thank you, and it's lovely.
Well, and what's cool, and I got to know this recently, is it's not just veterans and those who are currently serving, but it's also first responders.
Right.
Many veterans go on to their next chapter.
Yes.
In that space. So between veterans and first responders, virtually everybody in their inner circle has got somebody.
Correct.
So I just love it. I love everything about it. It is so awesome. But that's not what defines you. Like, I've gotten to know you over the years, and you put in the work.
Thank you.
Like, you work on yourself and on your business. I mean, you've attended a mastermind. You've attended how many events that we participated in?
You do an amazing job. Very thought-provoking.
Well, thank you. But again, it's all about action. Like American Heroes, you took action. Everybody talks a good game, but the most enlightened, they don't talk about what they're going to do. They do it. And then the ripple effect happens. So let's pivot to my second area, because we've got many teams that are led by female advisors, but I think you have probably a much better perspective on this than I do. So let's talk about the next generation in no specific order. So I know you're very, very mindful of making sure that the next generation entertains the idea of becoming a financial advisor.
We need it.
So run with that if you don't mind.
I am excited to see the next gen come up. And interestingly, when I started in this business, I'm sure it was an 80-20, 80% male, 20% female. I don't know how much that's changed. I don't think it's a ton. And I would contend that what a fabulous career for females to be able to build in flexibility in your career, to be able to utilize a multitude of skills that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, being a mom, all your other responsibilities, a daughter, a granddaughter, taking care of, so many people, but being able to use that analytical side too, and a lot of communication. And I would contend that that's where you meet people in that sense of security, being able to provide that to them and peace of mind about their wealth.
Well, I don't want to generalize, but I think especially in the last 5 years, advisors wear way more hats than they used to.
So many, yeah.
In terms of bedside manner, relationship management, what keeps you up at night, hopes, dreams, all of that.
Agreed.
And I'm not, again, generalizing, but our best teams, at a minimum, have a meaningful client-facing team member who is female that has dramatic impact on the nurturing of the relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying men can't nurture a relationship,
Of
but
course.
having that balance is pretty powerful. Now let's talk about, so you say 80-20. I didn't even think it was that high. I didn't think that 20% of the advisor community was female, but you're saying it is, or thereabouts?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I know that I do not have to wait in line at the restrooms for conferences, and it's wonderful.
Okay. That is a
Concerts,
KPI.
yes. Conferences, no.
Yeah. Going to a hockey game. Yeah. I've seen the lines of that for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I like that flip. Now, what about the family? is it an 80-20 dynamic where advisors spend 80% communicating with the primary earner of the family and maybe sometimes unintentionally don't pay tribute to the spouse in the relationship? Is that something you're aware of?
I think it happens, and I think we have to fight hard for it not to happen. And sometimes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So they're going to talk the most, that primary wage earner, and communicate more, but being very intentional about, in-person meetings, looking at both people, asking the question of both people, even asking the question of the non-wage, higher wage earner or wage earner, and then pivoting to the other person, including in emails, always both of them.
Right.
Is important.
I've had many advisors who have told me in their own way that when they're meeting with a couple, when they talk about being goals-based and where do you see yourself in 5-10 years and what does financial independence means to you, and then on the agenda they write out form and say, I'd like to know what your goals are regarding your family, your occupation, your recreational interests, and your money.
Yeah.
That is often sort of like a door opener to get both sides to participate, because I've had advisors tell me that as soon as they get into the jargon and the complexity of asset management, they lose somebody.
Yeah.
And then they don't come back for meetings because they're like, okay, this is just over my head, or I'm not interested, and I've got other stuff on my mind. But as soon as they go to form and being goals-based, there's a different energy. Have you seen that yourself?
I have. Yeah. I love talking about vacations and travel too. So that comes up, and I have a huge map in my office. It actually covers the whole wall, the conference room. And I'll often say, hey, if you could go anywhere in the world, look behind you. Where would it be and why?
Oh.
And that creates an energy like, why are we doing all of this? To build wealth for what? So many things, but that's one of them. And that's kind of the exciting part. Healthcare, yes. College, yes. But travel, that gets me excited too.
Hey, you know what? That's an idea I've never heard before. And I think it's awesome because it's experiential.
Yeah.
And, a lot of self-made affluent people are frugal, right? They don't necessarily always give themselves permission to imagine what their wealth can do. And as soon as you point to the Amalfi Coast or whatever has been on their bucket list, it's like a form of permission. Hey, this is something you can do or you can move towards.
Yes.
That's great. So I've got some firsthand experience where I've seen somebody lose a family member, and the widow who has been shielded from so much of the, and good intentions. Like, I'm not going to burden you with all of this information. I've got this. And then they pass away, and now it is a burden because they just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Dig the well before you're thirsty, like just position for that, future pace that. I can imagine that's part of your process as well, and maybe divorcees as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think you can't underestimate trying to be prepared to go through those experiences with your clients.
Yeah.
And something AI will never replace, to kind of bring, where does technology come in, or where is it out? And I would contend it's out there or, not applicable, because I have certainly had experience. I think I actually shared this one with you that I wasn't expecting in terms of somebody losing a spouse or sick, or I have a young, I'm going to say young couple from where I'm at, and my demographics, they are young, mid 30s and early 40s. He was 42. And I had his parents, so that's a second gen for me. And he got married about, I'm going to say 5 years ago. And I hadn't met his wife. He came in, updated beneficiaries. I'm so excited I got married. Oh, that's great. And then 4 or 5 years go by. Oh, we're going to have a baby. Oh my gosh, how exciting. Bring photos. And he just didn't get around to doing that, to bringing her, in. And about a year ago now, maybe a little less, I had done a review, and then about 6 months later, he called for an appointment. And I said, that's odd. I just saw him, you know? And I went into the conference room and opened the door, and he didn't look good. And there was his wife and a stroller.
Oh my goodness.
Ugh, it was awful. Yeah,
Heavy duty, eh?
yeah, it is.
Well, that's one of the many reasons why Jim Bowen would call this the noble profession,
Yeah,
right? You
we
know,
got through
guardian
it.
of
We had to
wealth
walk
and-
through it. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And again, that experience just adds to your wisdom and your impact on others,
Yeah.
and probably your persuasive impact to respectfully nag somebody into stop
Oh, it
kicking the
does.
can down the road.
Yeah, you definitely become more passionate about it. That was the first time I met her, obviously, as I mentioned, and what we had to tackle that day, unbeknownst to me, was how to lay out what's going to happen when he passes.
Yeah.
To the baby, to her, to the income, to his rollovers, and that since transpired.
Yeah.
I thought
And
surely this is
that's
not
a
gonna
second
happen.
generation. So they were kids of other clients. Did I get that right?
Yes, and yeah. So I still work with his parents, and now his widow, and the baby's about a year and a half now.
If you're like most advisors, you're constantly balancing two priorities: growth and consistency. That's why we built the Turnkey Advisor membership, a community of like-minded advisors who understand the importance of working on the business, not just in it. Membership includes proven strategies for growing, teaming, scaling, or exiting, with full resources and support, including access to Pareto Academy, things once only available to our private coaching clients. If you're serious about bringing structure and stability to your business, this is where consistent results are achieved. Learn more at paretosystems.com/turnkey.
Okay, so you mentioned that balance, the sweet spot between high tech and high touch.
Yes.
I know you're very innovative. I would like your perspective on how technology has been deployed to liberate you to go deeper into the client experience. So I'm going to assume, because I know you reasonably well, you've embraced technology, you're deploying certain functionality to give yourself the gift of time and efficiency. Can you share some insights there?
Yeah, Jump AI has been a huge tool, and one that when I initially learned about, I was a little bit hesitant. But boy, does it save time, and allow me to be even more fully present. I'm not worried
Right.
on what they just said, to make sure I wrote it down, to make sure I have the facts, to make sure I remember an activity that needs to happen. I can, really stay present in the conversation. And then afterwards, be able to recap, make sure I've gotten everything, get activities for the staff in like 15 minutes or less, which allows me to see the next person. So it's very helpful. And I really just want to engage whatever I can to make that process better.
You know, it's so fascinating. I had an advisor not long ago say to me, he says, I'm having better conversations with my advisors over Zoom because I'm not looking down and taking notes.
Yes.
So when you were talking, that occurred to me because you said something. I went down and took a note, and all of a
Yes.
sudden I realized right there that I wasn't hearing everything you were saying because I was fixated on writing this down.
Right.
This advisor said that now, when he's talking to a client, the world's tuned out.
Yeah.
I'm absorbing, I'm interacting, and the clients are more open. They elaborate, and there's consequences to some of the long-windedness, but
Right.
deepening relationships often comes from being interested, not trying to be interesting.
Right. That's a very good way to put it.
So if you're using Jump, it's capturing So I know you embrace the fact that you prime your meetings with clients with preparation. Okay, this is what we're going to cover. This is what I want you to do. Then you have the meeting, and then you summarize the meeting. Here's what we talked about. Here are the action items. But embracing JUMP has deepened that. And I don't know about you, but I have advisors telling me all the time that AI and technology gives them the gift of 5 to 7 hours a week.
Yeah.
So it's not even just deeper,
Right.
but it's also freeing.
Yes.
You're seeing the same thing?
Agreed. Yeah. And I have to say, I was falling off on the follow-up in terms of a letter or a tidy summary and that kind of thing. I just was. And that tool creates the follow-up letter for you. Do I love it the way it is? Not exactly, but is it enough to make me go, oh yeah, I want to get that done. I want to tidy it, edit it and send it out. I do it, so that's helped that way too.
Well, in the spirit of trust but verify,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it still needs some tweaks and refinements, but just the prompt after the Zoom
Right.
meeting for it saying to you, hey, here's your summary of the meeting, that prompts you, and then of course the team to say, okay, let's go and make sure that this is compliant, let's tweak it as we need to, and then let's make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks in terms of clients. So that is great. It's funny. I was just in Austin.
Oh, nice.
I was talking to some advisors about Zox AI. And I know some people, like they've told me, like, yeah, I know, I got to get around to looking at that. I haven't gone there. And I said, just go on your phone and just ask Chat GPT or Grok or whatever. Just say, I'm a financial advisor. I lead a team of 4. We're trying to elevate the client experience. Provide me a game plan for how to embrace, master, and deploy Zox.
Wow. That's great.
That simple prompt provided a 7-step sequential checklist. And then the elite advisor can engage the team, delegate this. Now they have a progression for what to address in team meetings, and then assess the outcome in terms of efficiency, consistency, and feedback from clients. It's not too late to be an early adopter of AI and technology, and if you're enlightened about this, it will liberate you to go deeper into what you get paid to do.
Agreed.
Which is, again, the high touch, bedside manner, relationship management. So, okay, one last thing I want to ask you. I'm curious. So, you've been doing this for a while. What's next? Because I've got many advisors that are approaching a point where they're saying, I want to level up by kind of, fading out. Like I want to get out of some of the minutia. I want to be more strategic. I want to look at the bigger picture. I want to get, stop with so much of the busyness and just make sure that I'm shaping this business properly, positioning it for the next generation and so on. Do you have any experiences or perspectives on that?
I think utilizing the tools we're talking about does do that. It makes a more efficient practice for that next generation. It adds to your systems, it adds to your processes, and allows you to deepen the relationship with the client. I have more fun now with clients, honestly, than I have in the past, for sure, because I feel like I have time with them. And even just, switching it up, saying, let's go to lunch today rather than sit in the conference room. I've gone fishing. I've done time at the range. I've done a lot of different things with clients in the last, say, 3 years than I've ever done before. And I fully intend on doing more. It makes it more fun for all of us, actually.
Now, you talking about the golf range?
No.
What range?
a firing range.
Which one do you go to in the desert there?
There's a couple. One is out in the desert, which I like the best. And then there's indoor as well.
Right. I've been to the indoor one. I went with some friends. I had a friend who had a milestone birthday, and we went and
Oh, nice.
to the indoor one. Where's the outdoor one?
It's out off the 10 freeway.
Okay.
If you want to go, you let me know. I'll take you.
All right. Well, I love that part of the world. We spent so much time there, as you know, and definitely have to get back. So, okay, I'm gonna end with two quick on the spot impromptu questions.
Okay.
So, what's next for you in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what's Nirvana? What's next?
Great question. We're actually preparing to move to a new office, so that's very exciting. Building it out, putting new flooring and paint, and it's larger, very welcoming, bright. So that's immediately next. In the next several weeks, that's been a project I've been working on, just to freshen things and tidy up. So that's exciting. And
Do your clients ever ask you, like, when do you plan to retire? And, have you had those conversations?
yeah, yes, they have, and I don't necessarily have the answer to that. I feel like I've been doing this so long, and I'm just getting started. There's so many new things to adopt. There's so many different ways to do things now, and this game of Jenga just gets better, I feel like. So I'm not itching, to do something different. Incorporating that travel, incorporating those client experiences together is something I want to do and have been, like I mentioned, more and more. So I would say those two things, just really dovetailing more client experiences and adopting technology so I can do that, and freshening up our physical office.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I look forward to seeing that when I'm in town. Last question. Where is this business going? Like, what are the untapped opportunities, overlooked vulnerabilities, blind spots of advisors? Where do you see this all going?
I think if someone is trying to run their own money, as we used to say, it's I don't think it's survivable. It's just too much of a commodity. You can't keep up with everything. And further compliance is making that extremely difficult. Even if you're excellent at it, I think it's making it very difficult. So adopting money management, and utilizing, UITs like American Heroes, or customizing sort of the chassis that way, putting your own personal touch on it. I feel like is imperative. And utilizing AI, where is that going? What can we do to make that experience for the client better? How can we come up with more personal touches? I think is very important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that has been confirmed by advisors who have made their clients the voice they listen to.
Yeah.
Whenever I get an advisor who pushes back on me when I say you cannot define your value proposition solely based on your technical ability.
Yeah.
It's a minimum requirement. It's everything else. And
Right.
some people push back and I say, well, don't listen to me, listen to your clients. And
Yeah.
when they ask the clients those 3 questions in our campaign of make your clients the voice in that 90 days, and they ask questions like, what do you trust? What do you value the most about our relationship? Returns, how they manage money, core competency is so far below. They generally talk more about how they feel about the hands that they're in, the safe harbor, just the feeling, bedside manner, all these other things. So yeah, completely agree. I had an advisor not long ago tell me, we were talking about the commoditization of the business. And he said to me, I'm trying to get my head around this, but he said in 5 years, with AI and everything else, the floor of viability, being a financial advisor, the floor is 250 million in AUM. And I thought, whoa, that's interesting. And I don't know exact science there, but I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, the more people that you can have, to serve, the higher that is going to, the higher the AUM, the more that is going to happen. So I guess I can kind of see how that's going down that road, and speaks to, you can't be in the minutia of choosing, securities for a portfolio, and deal with that volume. So being able to address a capacity issue is vital to surviving. Yeah. You have to keep elevating your tasks. What is the the most important thing? And to speak to what you said, what's important to the client, I think it's helping them make decisions. I do that all the time. Hey, I just want to call you. I'm not sure if I should buy this car. I had a conversation recently that a gentleman wanted to buy a Corvette. And he said, hold on, I'm putting you on speaker so my wife can hear. He wasn't sure what I was going to say. Like, okay, let's talk it through. How much do you want to spend? Tell me the truth. Where do you want to take the money from? Let's look at your portfolio. Let's look how we've done the last 5 years. What kind of income do you think you're going to need? Is it going to change? And how fun is it to go buy it? I'll send you the check, or I'm going to put the money in your bank account. You're good. It's have fun. Send me a photo. It's quite fun.
Well, that is the essence of total client engagement, where a client does not make a financial decision without consulting you. You're the voice of reason, and then you give them permission that it's all good. You've earned this. Live your life. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah. He's 70 something and a very young 70, early 70s, and they'll have a blast. And they both felt better, I think, just having, and I've told them before on other occasions in the past, don't do that. So they know I'm going to be honest, in my suggestion. So
yeah, terrific.
Feels good.
Okay, everybody. So if you want to get to know Kim better, first step would be follow her on LinkedIn. She's active there. Kimberly Safoyan, I see on LinkedIn all the time. Check out her website. We'll provide a link when this goes out. And, I just knew you'd be great here, and you covered a lot of ground. And American Heroes, I just cannot say enough about how I feel, and just way to go. That's such an amazing initiative that will go on for a long time. You got to feel incredibly fulfilled and purposeful that you brought that to life. So way to go.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Series 5 is going right now. It's about to close. So super happy that it creates a way for people to bond and talk, but also get behind these companies that are making a difference. So it's exciting.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time I'm in the neighborhood.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Always On with Duncan MacPherson, where our objective is to enable professionals to always be working on their business and on themselves. Want to learn more about Duncan and his team? Visit ParetoSystems.com. Don't forget to click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the hosts and/or guests, and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Pareto Systems. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only.